So before I go into too many abstractions, I need to also talk about these embodied things with myself. Even when I was talking to myself in February of last year, 1 year ago, but I didn't really start making videos consistently until about August. But I made a couple in February, and I made some audios in May. So I did some videos in February, I did some in March, I was in the psych ward in April, did audios in May, and I started doing videos in June. Again. And I listened to pretty much everything from February, March, May, and June, and some of July, but there was only a few videos in July. What I'm trying to say is a lot of what I was talking about as possibilities in life, I've now stepped into embodying. And one of the important points of this is that I have officially left my home country, and I'm intending to be away for at least a couple of months. And a lot of people that have been diagnosed with a serious and persistent mental illness might never think to do that, or might never want to do that, or might be too afraid to do that. And I've put a lot of things in place to ensure that if I do have some sort of crisis, emotional crisis, I'm safe. So I have my medical ID bracelet that I showed, I have ZAP straps, I have PRN of Seroquel, and I have to be even more watchful if I feel any kind of fear or shame or get any kind of weird perceptions that are not dialogical but are monological. I should take a PRN, because being hospitalized in a different country could be disastrous. And I think about that woman who I talked to who knows this person who was hospitalized, put on medication that didn't agree, and things precipitated, long story short, into them now being locked in a locked ward where they can't get out because they're on meds and they're not in control of their meds. So I can see that as a possibility of this decision I made to go on this journey. I really hope it's not one that happens, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility I might have to go to the psych ward here and spend a lot of money and just be in there for a short while, or it could not be good at all, but I'm taking that risk because I also see that this experience and going here to this place is actually in alignment with the way I'd want to design and live my life. There's lots of nature. I'll be living with other people. I will be able to help out a bit, give back. I will be in silence. I will be in sunny weather, mostly. It will be clean air. I'll have nature at my doorstep. And there's so many other things. So I feel like all of those environmental lifestyle design aspects will help me to not need something like a psych ward, because all of these things are in alignment with the design of my neurology, I feel, especially since having this acquired, highly sensitive personhood, this clear mind screen that perceives everything and extrapolates everything and wants to dialogue about it. When I'm not perceiving all that stuff about mental health by working in mental health, I won't be seeing that. I won't be subject to it. I won't be speaking as a subject of that, of somebody subjected to that. And so I'm removing myself from all of that, from that whole paradigm. And I was talking about how that increases my allostatic load or accumulated stress, and that precipitates into distress, which then can potentially lead me to need the medication. So I'm wondering if by removing myself from all that, it won't be this self-fulfilling prophecy of me perceiving and working in that, and then that actually creating that which I'm trying to avoid. And I talked about that before, and I talked about all of this at length when I was talking with myself about whether or not I should continue in that job, which I did decide to leave and put my casual job on hold as well, and take a break from it all and see, again, this is sort of like a several month experiment of mad park, like the rat park study. This is my own personal mad park study. What happens when you take somebody like me with a serious and persistent mental illness diagnosis and put them in a pristine scenario? Unfortunately, I'll still be on meds, but I'm wondering if, do I even need them? Because I say I take those meds to keep me grounded in that reality, but if I'm not part of that reality and I'm part of a more pristine reality, do I need them? So it might be a good time to come off of them, but it's not, because I'm in a different country. So I won't necessarily do that. And so by practicing being safe and avoiding the psych ward last time when I had a crisis, I now feel safe enough to be able to just leave and live my dream. And this actually all started with a trip to California, and now it's again beginning with a trip to California. And I feel like I went to another world when I went to California, and then when I came back and was subjected to all the stresses of all the sort of traumatic stuff that I left, it all came crashing down on me, especially after I had sort of cleaned my mind screen by being in somewhere so pristine for a 3-week period of time. So I do feel like when I do come back, go back, I will have to put myself somewhere that is like a medium environment in order to adapt back, or not adapt back at all. I might have to move to a smaller town or just be somewhere quieter. I feel like I speak for nature, and I speak for these poor sensitive children and the people that acquire this sensitivity throughout life, or always have it and manage to manage, when I say that we need a quieter, more peaceful world. The world we've designed, the society we've designed, is PTSD. And the fact that anyone can navigate that is a miracle. But it's becoming less and less possible for more and more people. And then we call the people the one that have the problem, but we don't see what we're co-creating as normality, but it's against our neurology, and eventually we're going to react with a knee-jerk fight or flight reaction that isn't a knee-jerk reaction at all. It's an accumulation of allostatic load. It's an accumulation of all the stress that we've perceived but have had to pretend we didn't perceive, and take it on ourselves and store it for later processing. When we see something, we don't process it. We have to process it later. And if we don't process it, somebody else has to. So I'm hoping to see Celine Dion when I'm down here. And I'm hoping to take ECPR to find out more about it, to see if that's something that I want to bring back to Canada. And this is my lifestyle design. This is an experiment. It's an experimental lifestyle. Experimental. And it's definitely putting happiness first. I will miss my friends and family, but I hope that I can anchor in this dialogue process to be able to engage in dialogue, even with people who don't know what dialogue is. So I'm really interested in thinking together and seeing the same thing at the same time. I wonder if others can see what I'm saying, and what I'm saying is just that we can see. It's not the what we're saying, it's the seeing and the saying, not these thoughts that we have stored up in our brain. And in my March 9th video, I said that my goal was to travel to California by the end of November, mid to late November. Well, it's mid-February, so it's 3 months after my intended goal, which isn't bad.